too, because this is the first chance that we've kind of had to do Persephone stuff, just you and I as well. I released a new album earlier in the year that was over 12 years in the making, and it's based entirely on the myth of Persephone, the Greek myth of her descent into the underworld. So we did a huge launch in Melbourne earlier in the year, and the album features Rachel on cello and me and my husband Tim, who's there doing soundscapes, and also vibraphone and marimba, and also a five-part chorus of women representing like a Greek chorus from all over the world. One of the singers is from here in Albuquerque. So, oh hi, he's my dear friend Rosie. So today, and at very short notice, as we went last week, hey Rach, can you learn all those chorus parts that you've never sung? And so I threw her right in the deep end, and I did ask her to learn some tube and throat singing so that she could do that multi-layered harmonies that she hasn't quite got there yet. Yeah. So Rachel represents the five-part Greek chorus today. So we'll do our best. Yeah. But we're going to start with a song called, I've been obsessed with mythology since I was a child. And right back from my first album, which was released in 1996, I've got mythology weaving through as an opportunity to share my deep emotional journeys and to make them much more collective, to remember that we're all sharing the big same stories. Life, death and rebirth and love and loss and longing, all those things. So I particularly love the Greek myths, but myths of all cultures will take us to these places and be a guide on the journey. So we're going to sing an oldie now just to get us warmed up. This song is called Artemis. It's from our second album. And Rachel's been playing music. We've been playing music together since right back in those days, at 1996. Our first album was released. So sheesh. Don't look a day older. Oh, yeah. Well, without eyesight, we don't. All right, here we go. This is called Artemis, for the Greek goddess of wilderness. Skies of blue, you call me. Run far from the light. Skies of blue, you call me. Kiss the night, kiss the night. I am awake in moonlight. Dreams question the day. I am awake in soul life. Run too loud, Timothy? It's pretty good? All right. Do you want to jump straight into Persephone? Yeah, let's do this. Okay, so we're going to jump into this Persephone journey. It's a double album, there's 24 tracks, and we have about 50 minutes left of this set, so we are not going to be playing all 24 tracks. And some just don't translate too well without a 5-part chorus and a vibraphone, full percussion, etc. But I'm going to take you through a bit of the story. It's an incredible myth. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this ancient Greek tale, but it's woven through Western culture for the last couple of millennia, and deeply important in ancient Greece. It formed the basis of one of the most important rituals, the Eleusinian mysteries. But essentially it's a story of the cycles of nature. It's a story of the agricultural cycles of planting, harvesting, and starting all over again. So life, death, and rebirth. And it really features 3 aspects of the goddess, and my spiritual path is deeply connected with this kind of stuff as a pagan. And so the 3 goddesses that feature very strongly in this myth are Demeter, or Demeter as she's sometimes called. Dimitra, she is in Greek, and she is kind of like Mother Earth, golden haired, and she's the one she's the mother of the grain, the goddess of the grain. So it's her job to make sure that the harvest is, that the grain grows and can feed humankind. And she's a mother too, in a very literal sense in this myth, because she's the mother of her beloved daughter who becomes Persephone, but starts off in the myth simply known as Kori, which means daughter or maiden. So she doesn't even have a name, the maiden. So there's Demeter, the mother, Kori, who becomes Persephone, the maiden, and the third goddess is Hecate. And she is a very ancient goddess indeed. She predates all the Olympic gods, and probably comes out of Anatolia, Asia Minor, most likely. And she's known as the goddess of the crossroads, and way back, even a few thousand years ago, she was known as the goddess of witchcraft. So she's the goddess of liminal spaces, of not quite here and not quite there, and goddess of threshold. So she becomes a guide to Persephone later on, and she, like Hermes, can go into the underworld and back out again with ease, which very few of the gods can do. So I sing in the role of all these goddesses, the maiden, the mother, and the crone, and Hecate's parts I sing in Greek. And so we're going to start, we're going to jump right into picturing ourselves in a beautiful golden field of ripe grain, and there is Demeter in all her golden glory. This is before any of the action, which I'll explain, has taken place. This is how things have been since the dawn of time, and in Demeter's point of view should always be. She's the mother, her daughter's over there in another field picking lovely flowers, and isn't this lovely? And this is how everything should stay. So let's do this song, it's called The Harvest. And then the chorus comes along, and they kind of act as priestesses throughout the album to both Persephone and Demeter, and they kind of help roll the story along and act as their friends, I guess. And so after Demeter declares how amazing she is, the chorus then replies, "Yes, you are indeed amazing, beloved Demeter." And so we're going to do this song, which it really rolls straight on from the harvest on the album. And okay, ready to be all five singers? Good. Oh, golden grain, oh, golden mother, generous your rain, generous your fields of golden grain, oh, golden mother, generous your rain, generous your fields of corn here at your feet. We lay abundant fruit and golden wheat, and set your heaven on sweet. Nice word, Wendy. And Hecate comes along in all her dark magnificence, and she kind of reminds Demeter that, well, that's not really how nature works, that everything stays golden and lovely forever. There's also times of darkness. There's winter, there's the dark moon, there's death, and without death there can be no rebirth, there can be no life. So she does this simple chant, which just means the wheel will turn. Then we meet, thank you, then we meet Persephone. She's picking her flowers in the field and everything is all lovely, as she's done since the dawn of time, and she's surrounded by her friends. She has a lot of friends. She has 1,000 nymphs, the daughters of the river Ocean, who play with her in the fields. She also has some pretty helpful friends. Artemis is one of her friends, and so is Athena. So they're all maiden goddesses. And but unbeknownst to either Kore or to her mother Demeter, the god of the underworld, Hades, who has taken a trip to the surface, and he's seen Kore and he's fallen in love with her. And it's made very clear in the ancient tellings of this myth that he's definitely fallen in love with her, and he's seen in her something that will become the makings, in his belief, of the queen of the underworld. He's desirous of a queen. And so, because this myth comes from a very patriarchal era, even the written version, 800 or so, 700 BC, still a very patriarchal era that hints at much older stories. But at this point, when the myth was written down, the way that he went about getting his bride was to go and ask her father for her hand in marriage. Didn't consult the women at all. And Zeus, his brother, says, yeah, that's a great idea. You're wealthy, you're the king of the underworld, you're a god, this is fantastic. Yes, absolutely, go for it. And so while Kore is picking flowers in the meadow one day, she picks a particular flower that Earth herself, Gaia, has placed there. Zeus has asked Gaia's help, and Gaia places a very beautiful flower that can't help but lure this maiden. And entranced by this flower. Corey picks it and the earth opens up and Hades comes and grabs her and drags her into the underworld. Very much at this point against her will. Well, really, she doesn't even have a chance to have a will about it at this point. He just grabs her and takes her down. So that's how it goes. So we'll do our best to replicate a very traumatic ending of this song without having a timpani or a whole heap of drums or anything here. But you'll get the gist of it. It's a story that matters. Doesn't know what has happened because after Hades grabs her, the earth closes back over and there's absolutely no sign of what has happened. And she goes into a terrifying panic, and we have a song called The Panic. And it's very panicky to play, isn't it? It's panicky to record, panicky to play, but we'll do it tonight in the interest of saving a bit of time. So she goes into this terrible panic, and then this panic transforms into a terrible grief. And her grief is so all-consuming that she can no longer do what she's there to do, which is to nurture the earth and grow the grain and be the golden mummy. And so the earth begins to reflect the grief of the great goddess Demeter and begins to dry up, and the crops begin to fail, and there becomes famine and loss. And Demeter begins a great journey seeking her daughter and asking mortals and gods, have you seen my daughter? And later on in the story, Hecate declares, well, I don't know what happens, but I heard something happen. She uses her intuitive instincts. I know something has happened, but I don't know what. You should go and ask Helios, the sun, because he knows everything. And so Demeter begins this long journey, and as she journeys, the earth continues to dry and shrivel up, and there's great loss and death, and a dramatic change from the golden goddess of the grain. Wife and lover, or whether he abducts her and rapes her. Remember where this myth comes from, the era that this comes from, and also the translations. A lot of the poems that we know from this myth come out of the 1800s, and the language is biased again towards this patriarchal era. In my telling of the myth, I see that the abduction definitely took place. She definitely didn't know what was happening, but that Hades really represents the energy of darkness itself. He's a symbolic energy as well as a literal kind of human god energy. And so in my telling and my understanding and journeying with this myth, Hades takes her down and then helps Persephone, as she's to become, to integrate the deep wisdom of the darkness. So I see it as it becomes a very willing integration. But at this point, she's simply a freaked out maiden who's been taken into the underworld. So I'll do a tiny taste. It simply goes like this. What is this? Where am I? Who's stolen the sun from the sky? Eyes of light, hollow sound, strange echoes of underground, in heart, all alone, lost fingers on the space. You get the idea. She's finding her way. By the end of the song, she's eyes awake, find her way, brighter night, darker day, because she's not a twit. She's an intelligent goddess, young girl who is using her wits to find her way and becoming accustomed to the deep and very strange world of the underworld. So we spent 6 hours underground getting footage from this, and I just happened to be a tourist walking through Carlsbad's Caverns, fully done up in a beautiful black gown and full makeup. And we got some amazing footage, so you can see it on my YouTube channel. It's up there, and it's actually on the front page of my website now. So then what happens is Hades, we meet Hades, and Tim actually created the song for this album, my husband Tim here, a dark electronic trance that's impossible for us to do. And it has one of an amazing singer from Australia whose name is Michelangelo, and he is kind of known as sometimes he's known as King of the Crooners, sometimes he's known as the Baltic Elvis. He's got a great quiff, he's magnificent. And so he sings this alluring song, this dark trance. Persephone. It's very sexy. And then Hecate comes along, and during the Hades track, really what he's doing is offering her the fruit of the pomegranate. And the pomegranate, this magnificent fruit with 1,000 seeds, ruby red seeds, and when you open the pomegranate, it bleeds blood red juice. It's incredible. So this gorgeous symbol of fertility. And he doesn't offer her a banquet. He's not saying, fill your belly, you must be hungry after that abduction. He says, come and eat some of this sacred fruit, this fruit of the underworld that's still associated with death in Greece. And so during this song, you can picture him wooing her to eat this sacred fruit. And then Hecate comes along, in my telling of it, and does a chant that I think is central to the theme of the album. Well, just imagine that there's strange insects in the underworld, this weird hum that we're hearing behind you. Yes. That's why I played the drum is. Hecate sings this song. We'll do the chant together, the whispers together, then I'll go into Greek. Okay. Out of the fruit, the seed, out of the seed, the flower, Out of the flower, the fruit, holding the seed. Out of the fruit, the seed. Out of the seed, the flower. Out of the flower, the fruit, holding the seed. Apokarpos, osporos. Aposporos, oanthos. Apoanthos, karpos. Apokarpo, osporos. Aposporo, oanthos. Apoanthos, karpos. Out of the fruit, the seed. Out of the seed, the flower. Out of the flower, the fruit, holding the seed. And so I think that when she consciously eats that seed, that's the point she becomes Persephone. She says, I will make this my home. I will eat the food of this land. And I see it as this amazing awakening when she eats this. She eats a very prescribed, she doesn't just gobble up the whole pomegranate. Some versions say she eats 6. Oh, we've got to get some tape on this guy. But some versions say she eats 6, some versions say she eats 3 seeds, some 4. This matters quite a bit later on, but whatever the case, she eats a certain amount, a very small amount of seeds, and is awakened to the great mystery of the underworld and all its gifts and things like sex. And so this song is called Ruby Seed, and has some beautiful vocal parts on the record, especially by one of the girls from Melbourne called Madeline Moon, who you should just check out in her own right. She's amazing. But she has beautiful high vocals. I'll try to imitate them. Defined in the palace of the darkness, my eyes have adjusted now to see a light that glitters in the shadows, a ruby seed, a ruby seed, alive to the mystery of creation, the jewel in the hollow of the cave. A hunger blooms and a desire to taste, to taste, to taste. A thousand seeds to feed my fire, a thousand mysteries to feel, reveal a vivid darkness, a bright abyss, a brilliant shadow, a ruby kiss. And now the darkness is my lover, and now the darkness is my lover. Hecate guides us back to Demeter to find out what's doing, and she sings a simple chant that's just above and below, pan kekato, bow, dry love, bow, dry love, osto, xero, kemon, osto, xero, kemon. We find Demeter up on the surface, deeply in her grief, still doesn't know what's happened to her daughter. You can imagine the horror of this. The worst thing that can happen to a parent is deep loss. So this is right down there, really, for Demeter. She's found herself, even though she's literally on the surface, she's found herself in the depths of her own personal underworld. So this song is called Hollow. Oh, we did a film clip for this at White Sands, so you can check that out too. It's on the front of my website, wendyrule.com. All grief is mine, and I am hollow. I'm parched with pain and cannot swallow. I dress myself in shrouds of shadow and lay my head upon the ground, and lay my head upon the ground. All grief is mine, and I am hollow. I hold no vision of tomorrow. My child has wandered to the meadow, and now is gone, and now is gone. For others joy, for others light, for others peace, for others danger for the night, for others golden as the flower. For others, fate unsigned. For others, hope, but not the mother without child. But now is fallow. I dress myself in shrouds of shadow and lay my head upon the ground, and lay my head upon the ground. And so Demeter wanders and wanders and wanders, and eventually finds herself in a place called Eleusis. It's called Eleusis, it is in modern Greece. Maybe that was the name in ancient Greece, I'm not sure, but Eleusis is how we know it in English. And it's a very real place. It's about 20 kilometres, 14 miles to the northwest of Athens, and you can go there to this place that has signs there. You can pay your €3 and go to this amazing ruins, which in itself isn't very spectacular. It's in a very industrialised, quite ugly part of Greece. But the amazing thing about it is this is where this took place, and it was the site of a ritual that happened, an annual trek that would happen from Athens, where initiates would go and do this incredible ritual that we really don't know too much about because they were sworn to secrecy on the pain of death. This ritual went on for 2,000 years, and even when the Romans took over, they continued the tradition. It was deeply important. You can go there now and see signs that say things like, this is where Demeter sat down when she was looking for her daughter. It's like, oh, okay. It's incredible. It's so moving. So at this place, really the wheel starts to turn a bit upwards again for Demeter, because the people of this town, she's disguised in her grief as an old woman, and the people of the town are kind to her, especially the women, and they take her in and they look after her. And I won't go into the long story now because of time, but essentially it's here that she regains hope and decides to continue this search. She can't be immobilised by her grief. She must continue the search for her daughter. And so this is that point where hope is beginning to return. She's still in her grief, but a seed of hope has returned. Eleusis. I will not cease to hope. I am her mother, and she is my life. I'll leave no path untrod, no stone uncovered, till I find my flower bright. I try to seek the truth, to find an answer. Maybe I held on far too tight. Maybe she slipped away and chose a lover, as other girls do every night. I will not pass a door that I can open, no fence to hide, no service too lowly. I wander many days and many nights, hide my face behind my eyes. I have found tenderness, I have found kindness, even so, is still the same. The women gather round to soothe my sorrow, try to make me smile, remind me life is more than pain. I hold a seed of hope that I will find her once again, my precious maid, and she will gather flowers and dance the meadow as always was and always will be, once again. us that what has happened, that her brother Hades, with the permission of her other brother, Zeus, has abducted her daughter and taken her into the underworld. And so now her grief is coupled with fury and rage, and also a deep and overwhelming sense of betrayal. So when Zeus says to her, Demeter, do you mind making things grow again? She's like, no, give me back my daughter. And Zeus pleads with her, and the other gods plead with her because they're not getting their offerings on the altar. And Demeter says, no way, not until my daughter's returned. In fact, to the people of Eleusis, she says, build me a temple. Build me a temple so that I can retreat from the world and grieve there until balance is restored and my daughter comes back to me. I think maybe we should skip over temple, do you think? Maybe do all as it must be, or maybe even just cut to the ascent. What do you think?
What are the time-wise?
We've got 7 minutes. I reckon we do the ascent, do you? Yeah. And so she does retreat from the world, but then an agreement is made that Zeus eventually says, okay, you can have, your daughter can return as long as she hasn't eaten anything in the underworld, but of course she's eaten the 6 or 4 or 3 pomegranate seeds. So Zeus decrees she will spend a month in the underworld for each of these sacred seeds that she has eaten. In my telling of the myth, which is the way that Ovid tells it, that she eats 6 seeds, 6 for the darkness and 6 for the light. And so Hecate says, let's Demeter know this. Hey, a deal's been struck. 6 for the darkness, 6 for the light. Exianto scutavi, exianto fos. And even though it's not quite what either goddess really wants, because Demeter wants things back as they were. She's the mummy and her little virgin daughter is out in the field picking flowers. But that maiden daughter has now become the queen of the underworld. Things are not going to go back to what they were, no way. But anyway, a balance at least is restored, a balance between light and dark. And so Demeter sings a song called All As It Must Be, which is a beautiful ballad that if you come to the gig tonight, you'll hear it or on the record. And that's her moving towards acceptance. And now the wheel really can begin to turn back towards the light, but now Persephone has to come to terms with exactly the same deal, that she must spend 6 months away from her seat of power, her throne, where she has a very real and important position as she welcomes the souls of the departed across into the underworld. She's a very nurturing role that she has. She must leave her throne, her lover, her husband, who thankfully are the same person, always convenient, and return to once again begin the cycle over and be the spring maiden. But this is how nature works, life, death and rebirth. So this is the final track of the album. We've jumped to track 24 and this song is called The Ascent. I'm very grateful to Amp and especially to Neil from Amp, who's been my friend for all these many years. 18 we were talking about, that my first gig with one of your house concerts. Wow, sheesh. And especially grateful to Rachel Samuel for flying all the way up from Queensland. I'm going to head over to my merch table where I've got Persephone double albums. I've got a couple of copies of the very limited edition Persephone vinyl and some t-shirts and a few of our older albums, including some kind of meditation trance albums. So anyway, come and say hi over there. Thanks again and blessed be.